Hey guys, we're back. It's Friday morning and welcome back. If you have calls on keto and intermittent fasting, here's the number 866-561-4292. And then we have Adi right over here, who's in charge of my social media. She's going to be helping us with the many questions that you guys have. So a couple things right off the bat. Anything that I say, anything that I recommend is not meant for medical diagnosing of any type of condition. Check with your doctor before taking my suggestions. Just meant for more information so you can do your own research. Now, this morning I released a video on what I eat on a given day, and I just want to clarify that because when you go watch that, I actually gave a list of all the different foods that I eat, and some people thought that that's what I eat all of those foods together, okay? Like, you know, a piece of fish, a burger, sausage, I mean, like everything. So those are just samples of things that I may or may not eat individually, but not all together because that's a lot of protein. So just want to clarify that if that comes up, if you see that. So anyway, let's go right to Mary. She's been waiting for a bit. Mary, you're from Missouri. Go ahead. You had a question about fatty liver.
Yes, Dr. Berg, thank you for taking my call. I
Sure.
appreciate it. And I don't know exactly where to start, but about 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with as being pre-diabetic.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I was put on metformin. And I had been taking that about 2.5 years when somebody told me about you and your program, which I'm so blessed to have a friend that would show me that.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I started doing keto. Had been trying to lose weight for years. And at that time, I started doing keto. I lost weight. Thought I was doing well. And I quit the metformin after about a month being on keto.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have, so far, I've lost about 25 pounds, which I'm very happy about. And in about 6 months. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I had my yearly lab work done, and I was really shocked with the results of the blood results.
Mm-hmm.
It showed that my liver enzymes had been extremely elevated from a year ago, and so they redid the test, and a week later, it showed even higher. And my cholesterol is really elevated, the good and the bad. The glucose was about the same as before, and the insulin level was about the same as 3 years ago. And my A1C was about the same as a year ago. So the doctor had sent me to get an ultrasound done to check out my liver to see what's going on, and the results came back that it's fine. So I guess I'm just confused now. Is it the liver? Do I eat for fatty liver, or where do I go forward from here?
Now, did he say that you do have a fatty liver or you don't?
No, he said, let's not just assume it's fatty liver. Let's have it checked out, and that's why he
Right.
sent me to have an ultrasound
And then
done.
did they find you have a fatty liver?
No, they did not determine that. They just said everything looks fine, but next week I'm scheduled to meet up with my gastroenterologist that did the ultrasound.
Okay.
But they already gave me the word that everything looked fine on the ultrasound.
Got it. And then the question I have, your A1C, what was that number?
The A1C was still 5.8.
Okay. Not terribly high,
the
but
same as before.
I mean, it's still.
It had come down to 5.7
Okay.
after
And was
6 months.
is your fasting insulin higher than normal?
The fasting insulin was exactly the same as 3.8, which is what it was 3 years ago when they put me on the metformin.
Which is basically normal, right?
Okay.
Is that what they said?
I don't know. They thought it was high enough to put me on metformin. So
I got it. Sometimes what happens, depends what lab that they use. They have their own normals. Sometimes it runs a little higher. And then as far as your, here's a couple things. I want to quickly know, because I have a lot of calls, really fast, like what do you eat on a given meal?
I usually eat like 11, and then again around 4 or 5.
And what do you eat?
And for breakfast, I usually do a kale shake and a couple of eggs and sometimes bacon. I was doing bacon and trying to keep my fats up and the protein until this blood test came up. And now I don't know what to eat, but I do eat like 5 to 6 cups of salad a day. And I eat very healthy. I eat the almond bread, and I try not to cheat in any way.
Good. Okay. All right. So here's a couple things, Mary, that there's probably a lot of great data I'd like to get from you, but the fact that you were pre-diabetic and now things are still high or they're not changing, and there's liver enzymes, tells me there's something going on with the liver. So there has to be, I'm surprised there's not a fatty liver. So there could be some scar tissue in there, like cirrhosis. Now, that's just my guess. I don't know. But the point is that you have these liver enzymes. So there's something going on with the gallbladder. I'm sorry, the liver. So what I would do, if I were you, is get more data, because we're missing some data here. It just doesn't, it's illogical that you're doing so well. I would definitely shoot for 1 meal a day. That's what I would do. I would definitely be consuming something to support the pancreas, more like a nutritional handling. I would definitely do some things like milk thistle for the liver, and just see if you can't bring those enzymes down. There's just still something going on with that. The fact that you lost weight, you're doing better is great, but there's you may want to get an advanced cholesterol test to look at the pattern A, pattern B type cholesterol, because it could be some of that cholesterol has to come out, and there's something stopping it from coming out effectively in the liver. So I would just dig more into the liver and see what's going on, because there has to be something else that we're missing. Okay, Mary? That's all I can give you right now. I wish I had a magic solution, but it's illogical right now, so we have to find out what's going on with your liver. But thanks for calling, Mary. Hey, Gina, you're from New York. You had a question about painful cramps.
Yes. Hi, Dr.
Hi.
Berg. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, I'm actually calling from my daughter. She's 17. She has very painful cramps ever since she, started menstruating. Tried a little bit of everything. Most recently, I've purchased your estrogen balancing formula for her.
Yeah.
Her period started just a couple of days ago, and she said the second day was very painful. She missed school, but she's back. So it was really only 1 day out that I wasn't sure if that would be the right way for her to go. She has no diagnosis for PCOS. I don't know if that's something that she could have, because I know one of the symptoms of that is it could be a lot of weight gain, and she's quite slim. She's about 5'6", 117 pounds or so. And I don't know what other symptoms would qualify for her for that.
Does she have facial hair or acne?
Yeah, acne, yes, a lot of acne. Oh, well, it's calmed down a lot, but when she, first hit puberty, it was pretty bad. Now she still has some, but it's not as bad. Okay. And it's also all over her, on her back. She'll have some bumps on her back too, her jaw, her cheeks.
I have a great solution. Okay, you ready for this?
Okay.
Now,
yes.
she may be doing this, I don't know, but the thing that clears up the skin more than anything is intermittent fasting. Even though, she's thin, so you're going to have bigger meals, but definitely stick her on the keto, because that's going to drop the insulin. Intermittent fasting is going to drop the insulin. If she has PCOS, that will be improved from that dropping of insulin, because the high levels of insulin turn into androgens, causing the skin issues. But teenagers, oh my gosh, if they could just do intermittent fasting and keto, the skin would clear right up so nicely. It's incredible. I wish I knew that. I had really bad acne. Now, as far as your cramps go, I think the estrogen balance is going to handle that, but she may need a little more sea kelp, because there is some sea kelp in that product, but she might need some more just to help balance estrogen, and that should take care of it. So those are the things that I would do, Gina. Thanks for calling. Okay, over to you, Adi. What do we got?
Yes. Hey, guys. So we have lots of greetings. We have Australia, Indonesia, Wales, Kuwait,
Wow.
Greece, Canada, India, Malaysia, Spain,
Wow.
Belgium, Guam, Israel, also DC, West Virginia, North Dakota, California, New York, and
Jeez,
Texas. There's so
amazing.
many.
That's so awesome.
But yeah, they're all saying hi to you.
Oh, hi.
Not to me.
Oh, okay.
I'm kidding.
Hello.
All right. So I have the first question on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
We have it from Bitak.
Okay.
And he is asking, what are the real options for vegetarians on keto?
Yeah, this comes up every single show. The options are somewhat limited, because what we want to do is we want to do high fat, low carb, moderate protein. So you're going to have to do your protein powders. Are probably going to have to do pea protein, spirulina, things like that. Maybe some nuts, because there's not a lot of protein in vegetables. But in nuts, you can do that. If you can do eggs, that would be awesome. But if you can't, then what you have to do is you're going to have to probably get your B12 from a supplement, because it's almost impossible to get it without doing that. Now, as far as fats, coconut oil, avocados, flaxseed oil, olive oil, great. So the fats are pretty much easy, but the protein is a little bit hard, and the reducing of the carbs is hard. So do that, and I think that's as best as we're going to be able to get to you right now.
Okay, good.
Good. You have another question?
Yes, I do. Going to Facebook, I have Joanne, and she wants to know, does keto affect kidney in a bad way?
This is false information. What affects kidney is high sugars and diabetes and prediabetes and insulin resistance. Keto is actually protective of the nerve, of the heart, of other cells, because you're dropping the insulin effect on these tissues. So the confusion has to do with assuming that the keto is a high protein diet. And even then, there's very minimal data that high protein will mess up your kidneys anyway. It's the sugar. Now, the studies that were done on animal laboratory rats, Adi.
Okay.
And the high fat diet they used really was a combination of a high fat, high sugar diet, because they put all the sugar in it, but they don't tell you that unless you read the study. So no, there's no problem with the kidney and the keto at all. Okay?
Great.
And also, you know, we're also on TuneIn. If you go to TuneIn online, or there's certain apps, or even in your car, you can actually listen to us. If you type Dr. Berg, do a search. That's where we are. We're also on Anchor, the app Anchor. We're on that too. You can download that. And, you know, I have a little download here. This is a thing I recommended last week. It's all the different nutrient requirements that you need, and the foods high in those nutrients. So that way you can have a reference point. If you click down below, you can download it. It's pretty cool. Keep it as the reference. Okay, so now we're going to go right to Zach. He's been waiting for 52 minutes and 7 seconds. Go ahead, Zach.
Hey, Dr. Berg. It's great to talk to you again.
Thanks.
I called last week about the type 1 diabetes.
Yeah.
You had recommended to up the potassium and to try fasting 2 meals a day, also looking for the new insulin. I have upped my potassium, and I've been fasting until dinner. That's been going great. I've been noticing that through the day I've not really been hungry. You know, I've been planning to, you know, absolutely be starving, but it's been going well. I haven't looked for the new insulin. Now, I do have 2 questions. I'm going to get them right out front, and if you don't mind, then I'd like to tell you a little bit of my story, because I think it's pretty cool and might help a little bit of understanding. So question number 1, increasing cruciferous for sensitive gut, the kale and or leaky gut. I'm looking to get into juicing greens and maybe even wheatgrass, and I've heard that for autoimmune and leaky gut that wasn't exactly good, that it could cause an autoimmune reaction. The other question is, I heard in one of your videos that you mentioned that with type 1 diabetes that ketoacidosis could be an issue. I was wanting you to address that.
Okay. So first of all, let's talk about the data on cruciferous causing autoimmune. Now, it's just the opposite. it's not going to cause autoimmune. It could tend to deplete iodine from the thyroid, but it's not going to. There's so much data out there that it's like random.com. So if you actually consume cruciferous vegetables or you juice greens, it's going to provide a lot of nutrients. It's going to help you. There's a lot of phytonutrients in there. So I think that would be good. The wheatgrass juice is awesome. I have some raw organic wheatgrass juice powder grown in really cool soils. So you can actually also use that because 1 teaspoon is like, what, 58 cents, and you're getting a whole tray of it. So because I get it in bulk, it's a lot cheaper than trying to juice your own. So that's one thing. Are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and then the second question you asked about, I completely and utterly lost it. If you could just remind me.
Yes, it's in your video you mentioned ketoacidosis
Yes.
and how it's typically only an issue with type 1 diabetes.
Got it.
Well,
Thank
I
you.
kind of have that, so, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Did you ever measure your pH, of what your pH is?
I have never done that, no.
Okay. Have you ever measured the amount of ketones in your
Nope.
blood? So I would get a ketone meter, okay?
Uh-huh.
And you can get them online, and then you can check them. And there's one that I have. I'm going to have to post this because you want to get one where you can get the keto strips for $1, not $5 each, because it's really expensive. And so I made that mistake. But here's what you do. Check your ketones. If it's getting close to like 7 or 8, then you're kind of getting borderline because you don't want it over 8. But that's going to be very rare unless you're type 1, which I think you're not going to experience this because you're eating so healthy. But let's say it was getting like 6 or 7. You want to start consuming a lot of vegetables to actually help counter the acidosis. But it's something to look at for sure, Zach. I would pay attention to that because we don't want very, very high levels of acid that go beyond 8. So because if it gets up to like 10 and 14, but you would feel it. I mean, you'd feel like you'd have all these symptoms. But chances are if you're feeling better and you're eating healthy and you're doing the greens, I think you're going to be totally fine.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, you mind if I tell me a little of my story here?
Real quick, we have a 10-second snapshot.
Oh, boy. Okay, so what a day looks like. I was skipping breakfast most days. Now I'm doing breakfast and dinner, following the autoimmune protocol diet. I usually have a giant salad, you know, spinach, olives, apple cider vinegar, stevia, avocados, the whole deal.
Mm-hmm.
3 to 5 avocados a day. Now it's probably only 2 or 3 because of the carbs.
Yeah.
But going back to fall of 2016, I was attending Crowder College here in Neosho and had a very incredibly stressful semester there. And also, I was drinking the contaminated tap water. Well, there's chances of being contaminated, but of course it is typical tap water.
Yeah.
And I was diagnosed with the type 1 diabetes shortly after that in December of 2016. It's about almost 1.5 years ago now.
Okay.
I mean, it was kind of just a crazy ride. It got to the point where I had an emotional, just kind of a breakdown, you know, when I realized I was getting into the whole thing of it. And I realized that when I bought a canister of the blood strips, that for 50 of them, it costed $50 after insurance. And I realized that my previous Christmas present was, you know, the same value. And so that just really kind of got to me. Of course, the adrenals probably had something to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my A1C at that time was 15 point something. I've got that checked recently, and it's been 6 point something. It's probably worse than that now because I've not been doing so great. But for a period about 4 or 5 months there, I was taking no insulin at all. I was prescribed 30 units a day of the short-lasting. I never did go with the long-lasting. And during that time, I'm talking perfect blood sugars, between 80 and 100 all the time, maybe 110.
Yeah.
I actually had to throw out 2 or 3 pins of insulin because they were too old and unused. But like I said, I'm not doing as great now, but I've done it once, so I think I can get there again.
Okay.
And my fasting blood glucose was between 80 and 100.
Okay,
So,
good.
yeah, it's been a crazy ride.
Awesome. Thanks, Zach. One point about that, I'm just going to say, like this whole goal is to get your blood sugar down, right? Oh my God, got to get the blood sugar down. That's our primary goal. Despite all this insulin, right? So if you're using a lot of insulin to push that blood glucose down, realize the insulin is going to mess you up just as bad as the high sugar, actually a little bit more. So again, the goal should be to look at the whole picture and try to do things like you're doing, decreasing the need for insulin. So well done, Zach. Apply those things, and let's see how you do. All right, so we're going to go to Adi for a question.
Alrighty. Okay, so I'm sorry. All right, so we have Patty on Facebook, and she's asking, do you recommend cutting out carbs and sugar all at one time?
Well, you definitely want to cut out all the sugar. But again, the carbs that you want to do is just switch to the vegetable carbohydrates, cut out the fruit to keep it really simple, and then don't worry about even the carbs if you don't have to count the carbs with vegetables.
Okay.
The carbs, you got to be careful, as all the other stuff, but I wouldn't worry about that if you cut out the refined sugars right now as a way to start and get into this, and then see how it goes. And then you need to learn a little bit more details of exactly what carbs you should be eating and avoiding. Okay?
All right.
All right, so we are going to go to Vince. Vince, you're in California. You had a question. Go ahead.
Hey, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
Great talking to you. Thank you for all that you do online. It's been awesome. So my question is, I'll try and be as quick as I can. I've always been big all my life. I weigh about I'm about 6'2", 200, right now, 75 pounds. But in the beginning of February, I started skipping dinner, not knowing that I was, doing fasting. I came across your videos, been looking at your videos almost on a daily basis. I actually saw your video earlier this morning on what you eat, and I'm going to incorporate that. But I don't think I'm not doing keto, but because I take blood pressure and ultimately I want to, lose another 60 pounds or so and get off blood pressure medicine and get healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to just give you a quick rundown, if you don't mind, what I've been eating during the day.
Sure,
And,
real fast. Go ahead.
Okay. So, so I in the morning I've been eating, Subway. I was eating egg whites, but then I turned to regular eggs on flatbread, and I know there's a lot of carbs in that flatbread, and I get all the veggies and avocado, and then I would eat a snack, some type of healthy snack, in the 11 o'clock or so, and then I would push my lunch out to 2:30 or so, and then I would have like another snack bar like at 5 or 5:30, and then I wouldn't eat dinner. And I've been pretty consistent with that since the beginning of February. I've had my couple cheat meals here and there,
Mm-hmm.
but I've lost 25 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
But my concern is like the sugar. You're saying you still have to eat a little bit of sugar. So what would you recommend, and what would you recommend I kind of tweak? I know that I have to bring down my carbs. But I have been eating a lot of spinach salads, and I'm going to incorporate the different types of lettuce like you recommend, because spinach doesn't have maybe all the nutrients that other salad types would have. But I just wanted to ask what your recommendation is, because I'm on a blood pressure medicine, all that stuff.
Okay. So here's the thing. You're probably on a blood pressure medication because the carbs have been too high. And the high carbs make the arteries stiff and hardened. They cause something called sclerosis, which is a hardening of the arteries and hardening of the kidneys as well. So you're in the right direction. You don't need any sugar. So that's good. You don't have to worry about that. We don't have to add sugar into the mix. I think you're on the right track. I think all you have to do is start increasing the quality of food that you eat, like the vegetables and things, and then start cutting out the breads and have vegetable, and I actually increase more fat. I would actually maybe do nuts or some almond butter and some good protein. And then, because what we want to make sure is, because when you have those little bars, they don't really have a lot of good nutrition. So we want to just replace that with real food. So that's what I would do. And you probably also want to get either this book or the smaller book to get all the details. So you have a plan of action. And of course, watch my video in the morning. But you know, if you're going to do this, might as well do it right, get all the data. But again, there's a lot of information in here. So if you get the book, you get the smaller one, you can jump right to it. It takes you an hour to read it and then fill in the blanks with this, because a lot of things come up, as you can hear, like, oh my gosh, the cholesterol, what about this? So if you're going to do it, might as well know all the answers, right? But thanks, Vince. Appreciate the call. We're going to go to Elizabeth from South Carolina. Go ahead. You had a question.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Berg.
Sure.
I just want to say I've been a fan since 2014,
Oh, great.
and love what you're doing. I have two questions, actually. One is about PVCs and the keto diet. Basically, I tried to do the keto diet or follow your diet back in 2016, but I started having what I thought were heart thumps or whatever. And it finally got so bad I went to my cardiologist, and she said, yeah, you're throwing PVCs or PACs or whatever. And my blood pressure was extremely low, and she said, I don't know what to tell you. So I stopped doing following your plan, and I went, on to eat Thanksgiving dinner, and it seemed to get better. So after that, I just went back to carbs and everything, and they went away. Well, now February, I'm back on the keto diet again, and I've been starting slow, and I got everything rid of, but it seems like every time I seem to eat artificial sweeteners, I seem to start having these PVCs again. And I didn't know. I'm like, I eat the Berg xylitol. I didn't really eat much of it, but I was eating a lot of it back in 2016. So what I've done is I've cut out all of the sweeteners, which is really hard to do because, it's so much of a part of the keto diet. And but I've also increased my potassium. I've added a lot of spinach, but I know that you said to do that slowly because if you don't have the enzymes to digest a lot of the spinach, you'll have a problem, which I am. But all the PVCs have gone away. But I don't know if it's because I've eliminated the artificial sweeteners or if it's because I've increased my potassium.
Okay, got it. Really good questions, Elizabeth. Let me just answer them right now. There's really here's the problem. When you guys do two things at the same time and you get a change, you don't know which one it is. You can just guess. So that's the problem with evaluation is like, well, I did this, this, and this. What is it? I don't know. But I will tell you that artificial sweeteners, certain types of even sugar alcohols like you're doing, that maybe your body just reacts to it. There could be a sensitivity. Oh my gosh, that probably is very, very common. I never did a video on that, but food sensitivities and allergies will set off all sorts of things like rashes, arrhythmias, heart issues temporarily when you take them, and you're like, where did that come from? Palpitation. So you just eliminated those, which is great. Problem solved. But also, if you have a true rhythm problem with the heart, whether it's an atrial fib or a different problem with the pacemaker of the heart, that's usually a potassium deficiency underneath it. So you are eating more vegetables, you're going to get more potassium. That could have solved it like that, So we don't know, but I think you're doing the right combination is add more potassium and cut out the things that trigger it, and you're going to be fine. So I think that's the solution because that's what we want to do. All right? Thanks, Elizabeth. I appreciate your call. And hey, guys, if you want to listen to me without watching me, you can go to tunein.com and just type Dr. Berg. And I think you can even, in your automobile, you can listen if you have certain stations that pick that up. So that's pretty cool. And if you want to download something really cool, I have this download. These are food examples that match the nutritional requirements that you might need to focus on because I tell you what foods are high in a certain nutrient. Check it out. It's pretty cool. And there's a link down below. You can just press download and get it instantly. Okay? So, Adi,
Yes.
do we have any questions coming up?
Yes, we do. All right. So going to YouTube, I have Kapoor, and he's been on keto for the past week, and he's been constipated. What can he do?
Well, I wish I could talk to him now because we want to find out, number one, if he's doing enough vegetables because the microbes live on fiber, and sometimes when they do keto, they do higher protein and fat without doing the vegetables, and they get the constipation. Maybe they might do more cheese. But let's say, for example, you're doing a lot of vegetables and you get constipation. It could be because you don't have the enzymes to break down those cruciferous vegetables, for example. So you want to switch vegetables to either a fermented, and then maybe some lettuce leaves that you're romaine lettuce, something that you know you can digest. So those are the two options.
Okay.
Okay. Did you like that answer?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Well, let's give people the first question.
Awesome.
Okay. So here's the first quiz question, guys. Let's see if you guys get this right. Name the 2 worst foods on a keto. The 2 top worst foods on the keto. Type it in right now. I want to hear what you have to say. And as you're doing that, I'm going to go right to a call from Virginia. Purvain, you had a question about intermittent fasting.
Hey, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
It's a real pleasure talking to you. I wanted to make an appointment to come and just take an autograph from you.
Ah.
There are 2 people that have changed my life. One is Alan Carr with the Easy Way to Quit Smoking, and you're the second one. I've been doing exactly what your videos have been saying for the last 6 weeks, and it's working brilliantly. And I can't thank you enough for that. But my question basically was that I've been maintaining this app where I put in every little bit of what I'm eating, and I'm doing the 23-1 for the past 2 weeks now. And I see that no matter what I do, I mean, there are carbs in maybe a sausage that I'm eating, even if it's organic, or in a couple of walnuts, like, a handful of walnuts. And my sugars every day when I calculate them are like 9.5 grams and, under 10 grams and 8 grams sometimes. But I'm just wondering, do you count the carbs even in those vegetables? I mean, or in that little bit of, the Greek yogurt that you're having? So I just want to find out what is it that I get to a perfect state where everything works for me.
Right.
And the second thing, if you get a chance, is that can I come over to your office one day just to take a picture with you?
Well, I wish I could tell you I have an office. I actually don't have an office anymore. On the road. No, I was kidding. I'm doing these videos all day long, but I will be doing some seminars. I know you're local, so stay tuned. Some local seminars where we can definitely hook up, because I want to do a local seminar, and I want to invite everyone that's in the area. I think that'll be a fun thing to do. Now, getting to your question, I don't know if you actually read through this book, because it kind of explains it. There's some things you want to be careful of, like the yogurts. They're just so high in sugar. So I know what you're running up against. It's like 10 grams of sugar per cup. You're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? But no, you don't have to count the vegetable carbohydrates. So that'll be one good thing that you don't have to count. You can have unlimited. Don't even factor those into the carbs. But it sounds like your carbs might be creeping up a little too high, and definitely the sugar grams. Because yes, we want to count carbs, but we want to make sure those carbs don't have a lot of sugar in them. So, for example, if you had celery, for example, carbohydrate, like barely any sugars, versus yogurt, which has a certain amount of carbs, but it's actually high in sugar. We want to keep those sugars like way, 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 way down there. So I think you might want to, you've been watching the videos, but if you find the book that I have and study the details on all the hidden carbs, I think that will go a long way, and then you'll perfect it. But yeah, you're right. I think your carbs are just a little too high. But don't worry about the vegetables. You're good on that. Thanks. Okay, so now we're going to go to Sharon from Pennsylvania. You had a question.
I do have a question, Dr. Berg. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I wondered if you have an opinion on the value of bioidentical hormone therapy. Are there dangers with
Good question.
BHRT?
This is a great question. Here's my viewpoint on it. And again, take it with a grain of salt. Do your own research. The problem is your hormones are communications between glands, right? And the glands make the hormones. So anytime you take an external hormone from the outside, you kind of enable your own gland production of that hormone. So you actually shut it down, whether it's the thyroid or HRT. So I'm not actually crazy about people taking any hormones unless they've tried everything else. One good strategy would be to support the gland itself rather than give the hormone, because you kind of enable the body's endocrine system to work. And the other thing is there's there's really no one out there that really fully understands the complexities of the endocrine system. So for someone to say, oh yeah, I really understand it, you can take this, there's no side effects, it is so complex. When you add a hormone into the body, the amount of adjustments and the things that happen are so complex, you really don't know what you're doing. It's kind of like gambling. You're like, oh yeah, maybe this might work, might not. The point you want to ask yourself is, why do I need the hormone in the first place? Well, I'm low. Well, yeah, but why? What is causing the underlying deficiency of that hormone? And that's where I would put more interest in studying and to solve that, because then you could just support the gland's lack of production directly and not have to take a hormone, because it comes with a package. Thanks, Sharon. All right, Adi, what do we got for some answers?
All right, so we have a lot of people saying carbs and sugar, but we also have other answers. We have fruits, grains, excess protein, and starch.
Okay, good. Good answer. So number one, it's the wheat. That's the number one thing, okay? And what foods do we use wheat with to make different products? What products do we use wheat to make?
Okay, we have, well, bread.
Yeah, good.
Pasta.
Good.
Should I keep going?
Cereal, crackers,
Yes.
biscuits, waffles, pancakes, muffins, right, Steve? Yeah, okay, good. So we have all these wonderful carbohydrates. And then the second thing you want to avoid is corn.
Corn.
Yeah, and especially in the form of high fructose corn syrup, because that's pretty much, if you're taking high fructose corn syrup, you're pretty much just taking liquid fat, because it's going to turn right into fat and make your liver fatty, cause insulin resistance, and it's not to mention the GMO stuff, but yeah, liquid fat that turns into fat that messes up your liver.
Wow.
And what happens, it's not metabolized by all the cells, only the liver. Well, the fructose part. And then you put a major stress on the liver and you develop a fatty liver, and then that's what happens.
Wow.
Okay?
Okay.
So I'm sorry to bring that up, but now, do you have any other questions that are coming in?
I do. I have Deborah on Facebook, and she wants to know, what is your take on kombucha and on keto, basically?
I love kombucha. Get the one with the lowest sugars, like 2 grams for the entire bottle. Don't shake it. It's a carbonated drink. It's fermented. It's great as your alcohol alternative. If you want to calm down and relax in the evening, put it in a glass and sip that instead of the actual alcohol, because it's a calming effect and it's great on the digestive system. And it has the same texture as beer, and cold, and it's carbonated. I think it's a great alternative to champagne.
Okay. What if it has sugar in it?
Well, guess what it's made from?
What?
Sugar.
Oh.
And they put this microbe in there that actually eats the sugar and converts it into lactic acid, and you put black tea with caffeine, and these microbes just go to town, and they just turn this thing into this interesting liquid, which is lactic acid.
Okay.
But it's very beneficial to our gut. Very small amounts of sugar, but it seems to help insulin resistance. So it's a great, great drink. I highly recommend it in small quantities, because it's very carbonated, so it's very acidic. So drink it with a straw.
Okay.
Okay? All right, let's go to Colleen. She's actually, sorry, we're going to go to Emina first from Canada, and then we'll come back to Arlene. Colleen, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Sorry, Dr. Berg. I just started keto about 2 weeks ago, and I haven't lost a pound. I am taking iron pills, and I'm taking vitamins. Now, I'm not too sure if I'm doing it correctly. I do see that I kind of shrank my belly bit, but I don't know if I'm doing, right, or should I take, what other step I should take to measure it. I go, search all the Facebooks and everything, all the recipes. I don't know if I'm doing correctly or not.
Okay. You know what? I honestly think you should go to Amazon and order a book. It's just type in Dr. Berg on the Amazon search, and there's a book called It's Not Lose Weight to Get Healthy, It's Get Healthy to Lose Weight. Get that booklet. It's very expensive. It's like $4.95, and it's a Kindle. You can get it right now. You can read it within 45 minutes, the whole book. It's awesome. It's a guide, a quick guide that's based on this, but it'll give you all the exact details of the sample meals that will produce the same results. Because if you search around about keto and randomly kind of try to find recipes here and there, you're going to get like 10 different versions of keto that are not necessarily what I'm going to recommend. The results that we're getting are just off the charts. So I can only recommend what works, that I'm seeing that works. So you're going to have to get that booklet, get all the details, and then do it, because we want to make sure that you do it right. But I think you should have lost at least something already, and I'm glad that you're losing size, but I think if you follow the way that I'm going to show you how to do it, you'll drop some nice weight. Okay? All right, Audie, we have another question that we're going to ask right now.
Okay.
What is the number one single most common ingredient in the top multivitamin mineral supplements on the market? Okay?
Okay.
It's a long question, but what's the single biggest ingredient that pretty much dominates what they sell in multivitamin minerals? And I'm talking like the top ones that are around the largest in the world that everyone's taking. I won't mention any names, Centrum Silver, but go ahead and see if you can identify the number one ingredient that makes up pretty much everything. Go ahead and comment right now. I want to see what you have to say on that. All right, so now while you're commenting, we're going to go to Colleen. She's been waiting for 20 minutes and 59 seconds. Go ahead, Colleen.
Good morning, Dr. Berg. It's good to talk to you again.
Yeah.
I talked with you about, actually 4 weeks ago, I was supposed to call back because I was telling you about being bipolar on valproic acid and Synthroid, etc.
Yeah.
So my question is, I ran out of Synthroid. Normally I go in, get it refilled, right? And I want to tell you that I had my blood pulled Wednesday, and I found out from my pharmacist my TSH was 1.88, which is between the 0.2 to the 4 point, I believe that's micro units per liter. So I'm within the range.
Wow.
And that was after being off it for 2 weeks.
Wow.
So what I'm wondering is, I'm still not totally on doing this proper. I'm not finished your book. I still cheat with alcohol.
Okay.
Confessing my sins. So, but it's funny, I'll sit there at 161 pounds every single day. It never fluctuates, which is fine because I know what's going to happen when I smarten up. And, okay, so as for the Synthroid, I don't know what to say. Like, I have to go back to my doctor, obviously. But are you able to say that it's possible or it's guaranteed that the way I have taken out the carbs and sugars, except for the booze, and that maybe that's why my TSH has changed?
Okay.
I don't.
This is a really good question, Colleen. You got every different types of personality out there trying every different variation or gradient of the ketogenic diet. People jumping in. Some people are doing it hardcore. Some people are doing like 10%. What we found is anything in the direction of lowering the carb is going to improve a lot of things in your body, including endocrine function. Absolutely. What else could have done it? It's a coincidence. You started improving, cutting out some of the junk stuff. So this explains why a lot of diets do work for some people, because they're cutting out some of the junk. But there's still junk in there. They could always do better. But I think the way you should solve the problem is to solve it on a gradient. Keep improving things. But here's the thing you need to know. The most important thing out of everything is to start cutting out the refined sugars and the carbs. That's like the number one thing. So you're already doing that, so you're seeing great change. I think if you can just keep adding things or keep taking things away to make it better and better over time, that you'll start losing more weight if you wanted to and get healthier. But yeah, I agree. That's what did it. And I see that all the time. So that's awesome. So it just shows you that it does work. And that's why I really want people to just try it, try some of it to see how you feel, then don't wait on this. Just jump in and start improving your diet and then see what happens. And then you can prove it to yourself that it works. And then you'll get better and better over time. All right? But the key is starting versus just thinking about it. Okay, do we have any questions?
Well,
Actually,
I have answers.
we have an answer
Yes.
to a question. Go ahead.
Okay, so a lot of people are saying soy, synthetic vitamins, starch, sugar. high fructose corn syrup.
Adi, I think we need a drum roll.
Yes.
Okay. So the answer to the question of what is the top ingredient in most major brand multivitamins is calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate. You know what that is? That's
don't.
limestone.
Oh.
That's basically rocks.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the number one ingredient. And it's great as a paperweight. If you ever take these bottles of multivitamins, it's like really heavy.
Yeah.
Like they're very, very heavy because of the calcium carbonate. Now, anytime on the list of ingredients, if it's the first, anything that's the first ingredient is the most of that structure, that formula. And the top, I mean, it just blows me away that they're getting away with selling you rocks. And you think they're vitamins, but they're basically rocks. And they don't really digest that well. So next time you buy a vitamin, read the ingredients. Make sure it comes from actual food. Don't get the synthetics. Don't buy rocks unless you want to use it for a paperweight. Okay? You'd be better off chewing on the cement outside on the building. All right? And that's just my opinion. Okay, so do we have any other questions over there?
Yes, we do. So going to YouTube, I have Casey. So she started keto 4 weeks ago. She lost 20 pounds.
Good.
But she has plateaued now, and she wants to know what can she do.
This is another question that it's hard to tell her because I need to see all of her details.
Okay.
I just released a video 2 days ago, I think, or it might be 1 day ago, on basically what happens when keto stops working. And I list all the things beyond the other videos that I did when you plateau, which basically make sure you're doing it correctly, bring your carbs down a little bit lower, look for the hidden carbs, make sure you're sleeping, make sure you're consuming enough vegetables, and then make sure that you go towards the direction of intermittent fasting more and more and more. If you're snacking between meals, or let's say, for example, you're drinking tea all day long or coffee with a lot of cream, that can act as a meal and keep your sugars high. So there's a lot of things you can look at. I just created a video. I'm going to suggest she go watch that because all the questions that people are asking, I have videos on it, but the problem is trying to find the video.
Yes.
So we are working on that. Okay, so do you have another question?
I do. So I have Akshita on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And he's been doing keto for almost 6 weeks now.
Okay.
He's lost 3 pounds, but what can he eat? Like basically, he doesn't see any big improvements. So is he doing something wrong or?
Here's another thing, like someone says, oh yeah, I've done it, I'm not losing weight, what do I do? I'm like, I have no clue because I don't know what you're doing, so I have nothing to compare it to. Again, listen guys, you want to lose weight, you want to get healthy, and you've been struggling more than a year, 2 years, 10 years, 15 years, the first thing to do is to learn how to do it. Okay. There's a quiz, there's a mini course that you can do on my website. Go to my website and on the top it says education. Underneath it says how to do keto. Watch those 3 videos. It might take you 5 minutes. It's free. And then learn how to do it. Okay, that'll give you some basics. And then you'll get some results. And then get the little booklet, and then I would suggest eventually getting the big booklet because this book basically is not just how to do keto, but what to do when it doesn't work because there's a lot to it. There's a lot to foods and other things, other body problems, inflammation, and there's a lot of other questions. So, I mean, it's your body. Might as well learn all about it and be educated thoroughly and not just randomly try to, do it. Okay?
Okay.
I'm sorry, that's just my answer. I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
Okay, so now we have someone from Jasenia from Pennsylvania. I probably, hacked your name, but go ahead.
It's okay. It's just Sonia, but Jesse's fine.
Okay, good.
I was just calling because I am an adrenal type, and I'm also breastfeeding, but I have Candida and PCOS.
Okay.
So with all that combined, I wanted to know, would it be an option to start keto while, pretty much breastfeeding? And if it was an option for me, how would I be able to do so?
That's a really good question, which I also have a video, but I'm going to tell you what to do right now. keto, the way that I'm telling people how to do keto is very, very, very healthy because it includes all the nutrients. So you do want to do keto on when you're getting pregnant, before you're getting pregnant, and when you're breastfeeding. You definitely want to do that. The thing that you might not want to do is get into the intermittent fasting other than doing 3 meals, no snacks. So if you can do 3 meals, no snacks, and keto, that would be the best thing for breastfeeding because you're going to fortify the milk for your baby and develop a very healthy baby. Two things that I'm going to recommend. Get a good high quality plant-based trace mineral. That way it'll just, because that's really hard to get from the food is all the trace minerals. And then the other thing is you can do nutritional yeast or brewer's yeast. And you can even make these little cookies. I have a video on that. And that's really good to enhance your breast milk because it gives you all the B vitamins and you can have a very healthy baby. Now, one last thing. There's a kind of a little secret I have with kind of a remedy for kids, whether they're colicky, they can't sleep, they have a cold. It seems like every time I recommend something, a product called calcium lactate, you can get it anywhere at the health food store. It's called calcium lactate, and give it to your child. It seems to be one of the best remedies for kids. So just a little tip, might want to make note of that and try it out. Okay? All right, so now we are going to go to Kimya from New Orleans. You had a question.
Hi.
Hi.
I have a few questions. One of them was partly addressed in another question that another caller made. I'm taking estrogen, sea kelp, gallbladder formula, vitamin D, and hair and nail formula. What I want to know, first question is that I'll take this after my first meal. I'm intermittent fasting 16 hours and 8 hours. I take these after my first meal, and I take all of them together. First, I want to know is it possible that they interact, or it's not good that take all of them at the same time?
Mm-hmm.
And my second question is I'm on Synthroid, 112 milligram, and I check. I go to doctor every 6 months. I want to know taking these
supplements,
formulas that I'm taking, would it affect the dosage of my Synthroid? Should I go to doctor more frequently now that I'm taking this formula?
Good question.
And then my third question is that when I'm fasting, after I break my fast, when I eat just a little bit, I'm so full I can't eat so much, and then 2 hours later I can eat a little bit more. So I'm not able to keep like only 2 meals because I will have to eat when I'm not hungry. So I don't know which one is more important, having like small portions in that 8 hours, or just pile it up in 1 or 2. Even though I'm not hungry.
Okay, great questions. Okay, the first question is, yes, you can do all those supplements at the same time. It's not going to be a problem at all. So it's not going to interfere with anything. Secondly, will the supplements affect the thyroid? Well, they're going to improve the body function to the point where you might, over time, need less medication. So yes, get with your doctor to make sure that if the need for it goes down and you don't need as much, they can make the adjustments to that so you take less and less, which is the goal, ideally. So yeah, keep an eye on that for sure. And then the last question you had, which was you can't eat a lot of food because, I mean, it's like you just get full so fast. So you have this first meal and the second meal, right? It's called an eating window. And then after that window, you're not going to eat for a period of time. So hypothetically, you could eat within that window. So maybe you eat the meal, wait maybe 45 minutes, eat more of that meal, okay? So that's fine. And then maybe at the last meal, consume, and then wait a little bit and spread out that meal so you can actually consume more. But I do understand that it's hard to digest all that. But that's what I'm going to recommend, okay? And then also, if you guys want to check out tunein.com, type Dr. Berg. Now you can listen to us on your car, which is cool. And I also have another app called Anchor. which I'm on Anchor. So that's another cool app. Free app. You can kind of listen as you're driving or walking down the street. And by the way, I just released a video today on my eating, what I eat in a given day. You can check it out. But just realize that I should have been clear describing what I eat, because people are saying, you mean you eat a hamburger and you eat bacon and you eat sausage and you eat salmon all in one day? I'm like, no. It's or. Okay, so I don't eat that much food in one day. So I just want to clarify that. Yeah, so we have that. And then also one last little thing is that this cool download. If you want to find out if you're eating the right foods in the right amounts, you can click down below and just use this, save it as your reference, okay? And I do want to say one last thing before I get into the next question, is that next week we're not going to be here. So the following week we are. So next Friday, there's not going to be a show. FYI, just as a reminder. All right, so I want to give the last question, Adi.
Okay.
What is the minimum requirement for carbs per day? Okay. What is the minimum requirement for how many carbs you need every day? Let's see if you can answer this one. You messed up on the other answers. Let's see if you can get this one right.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. Okay, Colleen, we're going to take your call. Go ahead.
Hello. Hi. Thanks for taking my call.
Hi. Sure.
Yeah, I just have a quick question. I'm on estradiol because I've had a partial hysterectomy a few years ago, and I'm taking it for, I had severe hot flashes. And I don't have ovaries, I just have my cervix. So I'm wondering, I've done keto a couple years ago and I did awesome on it, but that was before hot flashes. So I'm wondering if, of course, I fell off the wagon, but I'm back on it. So I want to know if there's any way to get off that, the way of eating that I'm doing now, if any of this will help prevent hot flashes so I can get off the medicine.
Got it. Okay, good question. Two things, Colleen. When they take out the ovaries, they basically, now what happens, it puts more stress on the adrenal glands because adrenals now produce the same amount of hormones. So if you're going into this thing with weak adrenals, then the hot flashes will be worse. But I definitely recommend doing keto and intermittent fasting right off the bat. You want to do that, but you might need to support the backup organ, which is the adrenals now, just to support you so you don't get the hot flashes. There's some things I'm going to recommend. One is called the Adrenal Advanced Formula, Adrenal Fatigue Advanced Formula. That's one, and then Estrogen Balance, that's the other one that seems to support menopausal transitions and also hot flashes. So you can check those out just to help you. Okay? Thanks, Colleen.
Stop the pill?
Stop
and take it, or do I take it at the same time?
Same time as, yeah, so this is a kind of a touchy subject because I can't tell you not to take your pills, but you want to kind of like build up the body to the point where you have less and less symptoms so you can eventually come off with the help of your doctor. So it's a little balance there.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Colleen. Okay, see you.
Oh, bye-bye.
Okay, what do we got for an answer?
Okay, so we have a lot of people saying 0 and half saying less than 20 grams.
Less than 20 grams. Okay, do we have a drum roll, please? Okay, what's the minimum requirement of carbs? And it is 0. You don't need carbs. There is no requirement. There's a trick question, but most of you got it right. Now, a lot of you are saying 20 or 50 grams or whatever. Well, that's the maximum, okay? I'm talking about the minimum. We actually don't need any carbs. We do need vegetables to get our vitamins and minerals, but you can also get your vitamins and minerals from organ meats too, which Adi loves, liver and onions. But I think they actually have, do they actually consume that in Ethiopia, like organ meats?
They do.
I went to an Ethiopian restaurant. It was amazing. They had this one tray, and everyone eats out of the same plate. Yes. I was like, what's going on with that? I want to keep my food right here. But the food was actually quite spicy and good. Yeah. If you didn't have all that bread. Yeah. Guys, I really appreciate your attention. Next week we won't be here, but the following week we will. Have a wonderful week. and check out some new videos I'll be releasing. Okay, see you guys.
Bye, guys.